what is Boeing doing in its design of its products to assist with carbon emissions?
Well, we're introducing new products right now. We're in the middle of really an unprecedented series of test programs for two new products, lighter weight, more efficient engines, quieter environment, really as part of the fundamental design principles, and really leaps in technology ahead of what's in the fleet right now. And then pressing forward on the research front, new materials all the time, new configurations under consideration. And just to give a specific example, we have a program we just announced called an Eco Demonstrator Program, where we take a lot of the things that are in the lab and looking like they're very promising, getting them into flight in a way that will really drive the implementation opportunity for us in terms of what we can offer our customers in production.
What do you see as the main challenges now going forward in the biofuels debate?
Yeah, in progressing biofuels to the next level, it's really an integration problem. We have kind of the first hurdle, which is technical approval. We're nearly through the first stage of that, and we can replicate that as new technology comes along. But the integration problem is around supply chain. Where do you get the feedstock? A variety of feedstocks, so where they make sense in certain regions and don't in others. How do you get those into a refiner's hand in the right position? How do you make the economics work and improve the yield and make things commercially viable and robust? So it's an integration of standing up a supply chain of things that have never quite come together in the way they need to come together here as far as our industry. So it's really exciting times, and here at the conference, I think if you looked at this last year, you were saying, well, it looks ahead of us, maybe we'll get there. Now this year it looks much more tangible. I think by next year it'll look even better. So very optimistic that we're going to meet these challenges, but they are very serious hurdles that we have to keep knocking down.
Do we simply have enough investment coming into biofuels to get it to where it needs to be?
Investment is a very large challenge, but I would say the opportunity is consistent with the investment level required. That is, really what's there as a potential matches what the investment requirements are. So it's a matter of looking at it in terms of step by step, how are we going to eat the elephant? Instead of looking for all at once, because that won't work. It rarely works. We have to find the chunks that will start to inch along and bring up the yields, and therefore have the financial payback to make sense from an investment standpoint.
Some campaigners say biofuels production has to be sustainable because it can so easily impinge on food production and water. How do you address those sorts of anxieties?
I think one of the best ways to address that is to have fundamental stakeholder engagement at the front end, and to do that on a local and a regional basis, so that you get those concerns on the table and you address them in a way that's appropriate for that situation, rather than a universal X, Y, and Z, because what makes sense in a certain place will not make sense in another place. And yes, it's possible to do biofuels very poorly. It's also possible to do them very well, and what you have to do is customize it, think local, customize it to what really makes sense for that situation.
To what extent do you think governments are listening to industry and taking industry's efforts seriously in addressing the climate change issue? Do you feel government is participating?
I think government is listening and getting what we're having to say. They won't always agree, perhaps, with the industry approach, but I think the way that we can make that even more effective is by just going ahead and acting on that vision that we've created. So we have to track progress. And one could say government doesn't work fast enough. Well, we can use that to advantage, right? By go ahead and showing how our proposal will work in the time it takes government to consider that whole situation. So we'll create some evidence for them to consider.